Welcome to the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast, where we talk about all things money, mindset, and marketing so your nutrition business can thrive and you can make a bigger impact in the marketplace. I am your host, Christine Diane, registered dietitian and money mindset expert. Let's get started with today's episode. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. We have another interview today, another guest on the podcast. And today we're going to be chatting it up with Miss Ashley Koff of the Better Nutrition Program. You guys are going to love this interview. As you can see, this is another one that's a little longer than my usual, but we had so much fun. And I believe that you will learn so much from Ashley and what she has done in her nutrition business. And just listening to Ashley's journey is enough to just get you inspired. I mean, this woman has done, as I like to say, all of the things, and she is just so amazing. And I just want to give you a little prelude to Ashley. So for over 20 years, Ashley has helped thousands of individuals and businesses and practitioners get better results. She is the owner and the founder of the Better Nutrition Program, which helps people to enable better access to personalized nutrition and to help motivated practitioners grow their nutrition businesses at every stage. She is a national media favorite, an author, a spokesperson, and she also hosts My Better Nutrition on Amazon Alexa and is the co-host of Takeout with Ashley and Robin. It's a podcast. Isn't that awesome? And if that wasn't enough, she is also a partner at Beyond Brands, an advisor to students and faculty at Tufts University Freeman School of Nutrition Entrepreneur Program. Ashley is also on the advisory board, y'all, for the Partnership for a Healthier America. I mean, talk about doing all the things. Well, don't let me go on and on about Ashley. Let's just go ahead and listen to Ashley talk more about what she does and how she helps people in her nutrition practice so that you can be inspired to do something very similar. Let's go. And here we are. Oh my gosh. Well, Make More Money as a Dietitian has another guest today. And are you guys ready for this? This is Ashley Koff. Ashley is amazing. And like I always say at the beginning of every interview, if you don't know Ashley, you need to know Ashley. Well, I don't say Ashley's name each time, but you know what I mean, you guys, right? If you don't know Ashley, you're going to get to know Ashley today. So I'm just going to start out, Ashley, by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, thank you. And I feel like I could just reverse it because I feel like I do start so many conversations like, hey, you guys need to know Christine. Like this is like, so thank you for everything that you do and including this podcast. I have had so many colleagues who have told me that you were what they needed in that moment and heard it.
Aww.
So I really appreciate that. I never wanted to be a dietitian. I honestly didn't know what dietitians were. I wanted to be Angela Bauer from Who's the Boss. I thought she was tall, skinny, blonde, and went home to Tony Danza and sold advertising. And I was like, sweet, I'm in. God. And I'm like, none of those things. Like none of those things.
So funny.
Yeah. So I sold sugared cereals to America for a couple of years right after college. And then, around the world, not even just making America. Oh yeah, around the world.
I love this, Ashley.
That's how I met my first dietitians, and which is crazy because I grew up in healthcare. My dad's a pediatric surgeon, et cetera. And today I'm in this like crazy amalgam of like having had an early background in business school, courtesy of global advertising agency and clients who were, use it from Procter & Gamble and places like that. And, a very, what we called a CPG background, consumer product goods. And then was like, whoa, why is my belly like always a problem my entire life? All this other stuff. I just thought I wasn't a good dieter. Like, I just thought I couldn't do what other people could do. And I ended up going when I was working in advertising, and I had crazy panic attacks. I couldn't sleep, like all this other stuff. None of it was connected for me because of course you looked at the body in different pieces and parts. And so I was just like, what's wrong with the belly? And I finally met someone who told me that if I came over to her house, she was a healer, would prick my finger, looked at my blood under, I'm sure, a Fisher-Price microscope, and told me that I had a worm, and I had 7 days of goat's milk only, drinking 40 ounces of goat's milk, which I did. I'll never have any goat product under the sun ever in my life. And that was my rock bottom, to which I kind of fancy myself a little bit of a comedian. I ended up drunk in a bar telling the story and meeting an integrative gastroenterologist. So that person ended up helping me learn that it was my digestion.
Oh my God,
just needed some help. There you go. And so I learned to heal my digestion, and I was like, I got to help other people do that. And you know what? I bet I could monetize this. And so I started thinking about like, how can I help people and how can I market and teach people to get and stay healthier now, powered by better nutrition. So that's that weird world around. And then a couple of years ago, I decided to take an about face to scale this and really help our colleagues, because I can't reach enough people. Maybe someday when I'm president or something like that, but at least right now, like if I help practitioners reach more people and have better tools and be able to do this part, then I feel like I can help get more of the country healthier, which is nobody should ever have to go on a goat's milk cleanse. That's the moral of the story.
That is the weirdest thing I've heard in a while.
Yeah.
I've heard of cleanses.
I did it.
Yeah. And you're just like, yeah, it's a real thing. I had that experience.
Totally. And you know, it helped me a lot, Christine, because when I ended up going to Los Angeles and I kind of had this, like, I was known as the celebrity, you know, dietitian whisperer or whatever. And they thought that they were presenting the weirdest thing in the entire world. Like, they're like, oh, so I've got this client, like he's going to come in, he only eats orange foods. I was like, that's okay. I did 7 days goat's milk only. And I even took my goat's milk to a bar and had the bartender make it look like a White Russian because I didn't want to look weird. You know, I was like, I got you. Like, you bring your weird stuff. I can handle that, you know? So
wait a minute. Wait. So look, you just interjected a little part of your career before becoming the Better Nutrition company, right?
Yeah.
You were a celebrity dietitian. Hold on a minute, because that used to be my dream, and I legit moved all the way to Los Angeles area, and that didn't work for me. Okay,
because oh man, how did we not meet out there? What?
Holy of all holies. I love all the Los Angeles people. However, Christine's personality does not mesh with the clicks and all the things. I was just like, y'all keep all this. I have family that lives out there, and so it made it a little bit easier to transition. And when I got there, I was just like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So were you actually working with celebrities? Just let me hear all the good things about your early career as a dietitian.
Oh, you name it. In fact, my very first client was an 18-year-old woman who went on that year to win, what do you call it? The big award in February. I just blocked out the Oscar. And I was working with her and her crazy, lovely mother and, you know, all of these pieces. And I lost so much money on that relationship because I wanted her, like, I didn't know how you had a client. By the way, we were never taught that. I left county hospital. So I was working at county hospital, which is like, you know, what they based ER off of. We had no pagers or things like that. But I had to give my client a way. They had to have a way to reach me because they're a celebrity. So they needed to call me, and I'd have to run down from the 7th floor and call them from the office if they were eating donuts and they needed me to tell them not to eat donuts. Like, so there were all these pieces, but I like bought her a journal and a pen, and I went to Fred Siegel because it had to be a good journal and a pen. And then she's like, I don't know if like I can afford $180 for you, $180, right? $180 for you. So I learned a lot of money talk from, you know, and how to build my business. Both I learned, you know, early on, you got to have, like, if somebody's going to have access to you, you upcharge on that part. So it went so far. I worked with royal families like from Saudi Arabia and Qatar and things like that. And so Oh, they would like try, like, it was like, if you didn't charge at least $5,000 for an hour, they didn't even want to talk to you. So I was like,
Oh.
I would just make up money prices, you know, and things like that. It's a very weird world. But the interesting thing is I have never had people like, I have had circumstances with celebrities where it was like, hey, come over to my house and wait for 4 hours and I'm doing this and I'm not doing this. And then it was, you know, my time, like, oh, well, your fee is $250 or your fee is whatever. And I was like, I've been here for 4 hours, like, you know, that kind of thing.
What the heck?
So you had to learn very quickly. And, you know, I think what's different is like, they would never treat a doctor like that. And I come from a family of doctors. So I was like, like, I've seen the way you've treated my dad, like you've given us this and you know, and that kind of thing. I'm like, I'm going to be treated differently. But the most important thing that I learned is that their GI systems like are messy like ours, you know? So at the end of the day, it was just important to treat them that way. Had a lot of opportunities that came around. I ended up working on, you know, a lot of my clients were eating on set. And so you would find out not just the food, but we had the what they called craft services, but what my comedian clients would call crap services. So I ended up creating a business of changing the food that was offered from craft services so that it was Ashley Koff approved. So I kind of became known, you know, for doing those pieces. And then I got brands that would come in and, you know, donate their stuff. And so it created this great business model. The only one who was not revenue generating well off of that was me. So it's really interesting. You can come up with things that really serve people and do well. I was on-air dietitian for 4 reality TV shows. If you look at what I was paid hourly, like, it would be embarrassing. Like you would think, oh, my VA makes more money than that, you know? So I think it's really important to, you know, to dispel some of the myths out there of, oh, hey, I want to do that, like, and not be thinking about it from a business standpoint, which you're so good at. It's always like focusing on the money side.
Oh my God. And why do we not want to focus on the money part? You know, I'm going to gas myself up for a minute because I just got reminded of an opportunity that I had to get close to a celebrity. I was on a celebrity reality show. And the clip is on YouTube. And the name of the reality show was Too Fat for 15. Y'all, how horrible. Okay, so my intuitive eating and Hayes dietitians don't puke. Okay, but seriously, that was the name of the show.
Job security is what we'll tell them. Yeah, generations.
That was the name of the show back then. And I was blessed enough to be able to meet the young lady who was the host of that show, who later on went on to be the host of The Biggest Loser, the one who used to be on the
she was on the daytime show. Allison, I'm forgetting her
Allison
last name.
Sweeney, I believe, right?
Yeah, she was on Days of Our Lives. Yes. We got it.
Yes,
yeah, totally.
You got it. And so, I had that experience and it was really interesting. It was fun. I was contacted to be the nutrition expert for that particular episode. And, you know, they pulled me and another chef who's local here in the Chicago area to come on, and it was a fun experience, but I realized that definitely was not the path that I wanted to take. But it was fun. It was an experience. And I feel like what's most important for all of us to witness within ourselves is, where's the sweet spot? Where is it that I belong? Instead of doing what you see other people doing, I believe that we need to be working in our own unique strengths and gifts. And like you mentioned, Ashley, your coach had you doing some work around the Myers-Briggs. I think we were talking about this before I pushed record. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit about, like, what are your unique gifts and how you feel that is playing out in your current role?
My unique gifts. Well, one, whether or not I am actually funny, I really do think that I try to come from like a humorous, you know, place initially. And I think I'm unique in that way because the goal for me is it's not to disarm someone or have someone, you know, like to laugh at or, you know, but when we laugh, we can actually like access different parts of ourselves. And so I think a sense of humor in all of these things can appropriately, sometimes I've not handled the appropriate part so well, but appropriately can really, is something that has really helped me grow as a person and also grow from a business standpoint. I think the other part that I'm starting to learn is that, well, you actually hit on one, is that I just love to connect people. And I just love to think, like, literally the second, like, I talk or hear something, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is who you need to know. And this is how this is going to connect, and this, how this. Now, where I have to take a pause in that is actually not trying to create the world according to my belief in how it should all be connected. Like, I did have to learn that when I make those connections, poof, here you go. Like, let's see what develops from it with those people and their uniqueness. So letting go of a little bit of that control part of it might be something that I've learned that is not one of my unique gifts on that part. And I think the other part really for me has been being comfortable, being uncomfortable. That is really one I tried for so much of my life to fit into a definition, to find a definition, to, you know, I'm reminded of what in The Sound of Music, it's like, how do you solve a problem? Like Maria, like I was like, I'm sure there are people out there singing songs about me. Like, I don't fit into any of the boxes or the ways or the things. And so that always made me feel like I didn't, like either, I worked with a coach on this where it was, hey, I don't complete things. Like, I think that, like, this is I saw it as something really negative about me. And she's like, Ashley, the world needs people to start stuff like you do. And that was so helpful for me because I'd been carrying this weight that, you know, I'm not doing that piece. So I think those are some of maybe my unique gifts. And I'm super curious. Awesome. Definitely the but why person. Like, why is that? Why? You know, so that helps me get in a little more. Yeah, the questioner. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I think that's good. I think there is a lot of wisdom in being the questioner. You don't just take everything at face value, you know, you want to know. It's like, okay, and what if this? So I think that's fantastic. So I would love to hear, you touched a little bit about your journey, but tell everyone, including myself too, more about the Better Nutrition Company. Is it a company, or how are you helping consumers and practitioners at the same time?
Great. Well, since we've just finished our brand architecture 2.5 years into the business, I think I can actually speak to this. So I am definitely put it out as a colleague of mine that I work with says, put it out to the wild and see what happens. I was extremely disenchanted. I was living in DC in the last administration and was becoming disenchanted with how I had this vision of what I was going to accomplish to change the way America eats and our health, because the administration cared about it and here's what we were going to do, and it wasn't working the way I wanted it to work. So I went back into my practice and was trying to figure out, like, how am I successful and how do I help patients succeed, and why isn't that working on a more mass scale, especially at a time when my perception is we have more resources than ever. And what I realized is we have way more resources and way more information, and that's actually part of the problem. We're what I call info beasts right now. We've got too much, and it's creating decision fatigue and overwhelm and poor investment of resources and a lot of problems. And so I started to look strategically at how I could change both my experience as a practitioner, and then it ended up being for others. And I went back to, like, when you take a quiz and when you show people what their options are and help them understand what their better choices are, they are more likely to be engaged in the process and help them make better decisions. So for me, it all came back to magnesium. Remember, I was a constipated, bloated person for a long time. And when I discovered magnesium, both in dark chocolate and in supplement form, made a big difference. And I was like, I wonder how we help more people do that. And I realized there isn't a blood test to test for optimal, not just insufficiencies, but optimal levels. But if I do a quiz and I ask you about what are you eating, and also your nutrition has to include your beverages and your supplements these days, including creams and skincare and all this other stuff. And then if I also, because I understand how the body works, ask you about things like your calcium intake, because it can be a counterbalance with your magnesium. And then I ask questions about your lifestyle. Are you sitting? Are you stressed? Are you, some of these other things. then I can actually get a really good picture of how are we doing vis-a-vis your magnesium needs and how you're meeting those needs, and perhaps what the root cause is, like what's actually going on. Same thing if you had your iron was low. Why is your iron low? I don't want to just know that your iron is low. So I started using these quizzes, and I do a lot of presenting to practitioners, and at one group of 1,000 therapists, I said, hey, is anyone here, have patients on SSRIs? And almost all of them raised their hand, antidepressants. And I said, okay, great. And how many of you know their magnesium status? And they nobody raised their hands. And I said, well, in my opinion, if you have someone on an SSRI and you don't actually know their magnesium status, I'd call that malpractice. Joke that may not have been a funny joke in the moment. Right. That's where my humor, everybody was kind of silent, and they were I could tell they were kind of looking at their phone, should we leave? And the company that I was there with. And so I said, hey, I hit this wall like you all did. And I realized, though, there's an easy way for you to assess this. And then suddenly, and for all of you business folks out there who have created business plans and methodically gone through it, suddenly said, hey, can I get that quiz that you have? And I said, why, yes, you can. And I went over to the podium, and under the table, I typed the guy that worked for me. He was sitting in the front row. And I said, put on the website right now, get magnesium quiz. And that is how the Better Nutrition Program was born. So the Better Nutrition Program was born to offer tools to consumers and practitioners that help clients or our patients and individuals themselves assess and really get to root cause of nutrition needs and help you make better choices. And what happened along the way, as I was doing that, I started to interact for the first time with a lot of my colleagues. Now, I've been doing strategic business consulting for massive companies around nutrition products, nutrition systems. If you all remember Jawbone, I helped them create their, of course, betting on Jawbone as opposed to Fitbit. Yay, Ashley. But anyway, you do those kinds of things. And I had also worked with very well-known practitioners to help them with their business models. Like if they're seeing patients and they're selling services and they're selling products, and those kinds of things. But I'm not trained as a coach. I was not, looking in that space. But when people said to me, they would always come to me with their questions about their businesses, our fellow colleagues, hey, should I do this or this piece? So as I was selling to customers these tools and showing them, I said, hey, it's 2020. Are you handing out a business card? What are you doing? Why are you sharing a business card when you could show a practitioner what their patient is actually doing and say, would you like me to do this for other patients, for your patients? Let's do things like that. And then they would say to me, hey, well, do you have an email for how I could reach out to, or do you even think I should reach out, or why magnesium? And, what about these things? So the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of consulting with practitioners around their businesses. And this July, we formalized that under the Better Nutrition Program. We have a GoPro membership, which has weekly sessions around things like today we talked about ConvertKit and why wouldn't you use ConvertKit to get your email on Instagram immediately as opposed to Linktree, things like that. But that's what's been helping. And so they get to work with me. And then we also have the sessions, and then they have access to all these tools. And I show them how to use the tools and programs that I've created that they can then use for themselves. So the idea is, I think people like you and I didn't have any of this. And if you have stuff that takes you about 80% of the way there, you got to do the work. But why not spend some money on the stuff that gets you 80% of the way? I've got the done for you email sequences, the tools that you can use, the programs that you can use. I have a financial planning document, which I think you it's literally just to be I'm not their financial planner. I'll send them over to work with you on that piece. But it's hey, do you actually have time on your calendar to look at your finances each week? Here's how you want to do that part. Quarterly goal setting, those kinds of things. So what I'm trying to do is help our practitioners compete with businesses that I've been out there helping for ages that are taking the business approach to healthcare and nutrition and are now competing with us. And so I think we need to help each other compete better. So that's a long answer to a very straightforward question, but that's what the Better Nutrition Program is these days. And we love to, we have a variety. We're not just for dietitians. So we have a huge variety of healthcare practitioners. And I do not allow anyone to judge any other practitioner as less than or different or anything else. But I do demand that you step up and see yourself as why you chose to do what you're doing, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, so I love this because what sticks out as something very important to reiterate is learning the business side of what we do. This, my friends, is how you make more money as a dietitian. We already know the nutrition stuff, but the key to making more money as a dietitian, and specifically if you're wanting to be in private practice, is to learn the business side of it. And what I've noticed, is that a lot of our dietitians are very hesitant to invest in themselves through someone else who has come before them. They are hesitant for whatever their reason is. And I'm not going to assume what the reason is. It's different for everyone. But I just want to encourage you guys, those of you who are listening, like, if you want to get to the next level in your career as a dietitian, if you're really serious about being in this field and earning a good living from it, which is 1000% possible, I want to invite you to explore ways that you can begin to learn the business side of things. And there are two options. You can either learn by bootstrapping it, and that's totally fine, especially if you're in the beginning stages, and you can learn by investing in yourself through someone who has come before you, which actually shortens your learning curve and kind of gives you a jump start. It speeds up the process a little bit, but either way, you will have to do the work. And one of the things that I've noticed, Ashley, is that sometimes when people invest in themselves, they are, and I don't know if you've noticed this too, but they have higher expectations. Or maybe unrealistic expectations is a better way to put it, as to what it actually will take for them to get to where they want to be. They have an expectation that it's going to be a 90-day this, or it's going to be a 6-month that, and you're going to be like light years ahead in 90 days or 30 days or 6 months. But I always say that slow and steady wins the race, because it's all about the journey instead of the destination. Because sometimes the destination will appear and then we're like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Now
like,
what?
Where am I going? Yeah.
Now it's like, now what? Now what do I do? What's next? So I just want to encourage, number one, explore the ways that you can invest in yourself, whether it's through someone else or bootstrapping it for a bit, and let go of the unrealistic expectations, you guys, because seriously, it's really important for us to enjoy the journey. We have to learn the process instead of focusing so much on the outcome.
And I want to jump in. I don't even think it's an option. So I want to be really clear. You're an absolute hypocrite as an independent, and this is me, Ashley Koff, RD, calling you a hypocrite. I want to be really clear. If you are someone who is choosing, because it is a choice to go into business for yourself, if you are someone who is choosing to go into business for yourself and not doing that work, you are just like a client who is going and buying something and hoping for results, right? And not getting it on that part. And so if you're saying like you don't get, because you say I'm going to go into private practice, the number of people in 20 years that have called me, practitioners or students or things like that are just like, oh, I want to be just like you. And I'm like, well, remind me what part that is. Is it the part that woke up at 5 a.m. or said yes to everything for 2 years because I needed to figure out how to do these things? Or is it because I did this? Or no, Ashley, I was hoping you could tell me how I could get on Dr. Oz. And I was like, I never set out to get on Dr. Oz. Like, and by the way, I'm going to make money if I'm on Dr. Oz. You're not going to make money if you're on Dr. Oz. So let's just back all of that up and figure out what your business plan is. Right. And so there's a lot of hypocrisy. Like I'm in a lot of these groups with our dietitian colleagues, and maybe one of my special sauces, I'm just going to say it as it is, where they're in there complaining about, you can't make someone do it for them. You can't do it for them. You actually can do it for them in most instances. It's just, are they going to pay you? And should you create a totally codependent relationship like that? But that's another piece. But a lot of you are behaving like the clients, you know, that, and so if we flip that, what I want to offer to you, which is an incredible opportunity, and where I think Christine is this is so on the money, why you have to invest in yourself in this side, is that what makes you an incredible healthcare practitioner is what has the potential to make you the owner of an incredible nutrition business. If you learn, just like I teach people with their patients, assess where they are today, assess their total nutrition, make some choices, and then track it, rejigger it, and keep assessing. You have to do the same thing in your business. You have to assess where you are. You have to make some choices. You have to track them instead of like being all over here, you know, and trying all these things. And I would go so far as it takes that you actually have to be intentionally schizophrenic. So, and maybe it's not the right word to use, but I tell everybody, I am Ashley, the practitioner, and then I am Sally, the business owner. And I had to create Sally because I hate having people be uncomfortable or not have all the information from me, or I'm not very good with boundaries, probably even with my own clients. Like, I'm just like, oh, I want to help you. I want to help you. That's not going to cut it in my business. In fact, in my business, I have to be okay with these other pieces. And I actually have on my calendar hours of Sally time each week that has to be there. And I don't let myself buy or invest in, because every time I see Amanda Archibald post something, I want to learn something more from her, right? But I don't let myself learn something more about genomics or in nutrition or something like that if I haven't learned something else in business, right? If I haven't learned, you know, if I need to know like what's going on with PPP right now, or if I've got to figure out, you know, should I S Corp or LLC or whatever. And most of the time it's go to an expert who can help me strategize, you know, and understand that piece. But I think what you are saying is so essential, because I made a ton of money in my business. But it wasn't until I got intentional about being Ashley and Sally that I profited from a ton of money. So when I think about where I could be now in my, you know, in my retirement years, being closer and things like that. And for those of you just starting out, I actually would never suggest bootstrapping it. I think it is one of the, figure out how you are going to afford to have the support that you need, you know, to grow your business from the get-go. Because not only you're fast tracking it, you're avoiding a lot of the financial mistakes that someone like myself made, because I didn't have access to people, or I didn't know that I had access to people who could help me.
I was being nice, Ashley. So thank you for that.
I'll let you keep being the nice one. No, you're like, I got my CBD. I'm relaxing. Yeah.
Oh my Lord. I mean, you know, I've had situations where just working with dietitians who just weren't all in, and maybe the bootstrapping is just for them. You know what I'm saying? And so that I feel like that's why I say that, because my experience has been everyone is not coachable.
Right. And it might not be the right person, or the other part of it is maybe they need a part-time job. Like the reason I've been so successful in my entrepreneurial endeavors is because I bagged groceries, made it to being a cashier. Then I worked in retail and had to stick one finger between all of the different handles, you know, hanger handles. If nobody was coming in, I'm like, I am never going to have this be my life. Like I'm going to be in control. So maybe you got to work for someone else to decide, you know, like I am very clear that all the negatives and the downsides, which there are tons of running your own business, they don't add up to enough to override my need to work for myself, you know, and to revenue generate. And if that's not you, it's not a coaching thing. It's just, maybe that's not where you are in that life stage. Or maybe they're not, like with the coaching side, they don't have it for some reason. That hasn't lit up in them, you know, just yet.
Yeah. I just, you know, I don't know. My thought is, and I always try to be clear that these are just my thoughts and opinions, but my thought is that, I feel like social media jades people into believing that everything is like instant and everything is like, this is how I did it. And I did it in 60 days. Like, we've lost a sense of reality and what reality really is. It takes time.
And I
There is,
also like, we know the bank account, like I'm going to be really blunt. I know the bank accounts of most of our colleagues. Like as I said, I have a big career and I've worked with a lot of people and I've helped them negotiate their big deals and small deals and things like that. And most of them continue to make a lot of money, not doing these. And in fact, sometimes they're like, oh, should I do that social media thing? And I'm like, no, look at how much money you're making over here, right? And doing these whole other pieces. So you're so right on that part. And the best way to think about it is that comparison analogy to, it's the same thing in nutrition and in healthcare. A 60-day course to lose weight or to tune up your diet, cure your digestive issues or these kinds of things, those don't work.
Nope.
In what capacity would you think that it would make your business work? Right?
I know, right?
It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Sure, there are things really in the moment, like CBD makes us feel like we're happier and nicer in that moment. But we also know you do yoga, you have days where you take off, you do these other things. It's like, you got to do the whole package and figure out what works for you, and then have some Band-Aids or some support, that's in there, and your business has to be the same way. Absolutely.
It is the same freaking thing.
Same thing.
Like, you guys, if you don't get anything from this whole conversation, understand that in order to build a very sustainable practice, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's so funny. I was listening to or watching, I was vegging out yesterday. Okay. So it was just a mental health day yesterday. And so I was on YouTube and I was watching a video with Lizzo. And, half of these people, I feel like I can be their parents, seriously. So I was listening to her answer the 70 questions. I think that's through Vogue or something, 73 questions. And she said something about how there was no truth to her being an overnight success, that before she even made it big, air quotes, she was doing all of these other things behind the scenes to get to this tipping point, so to speak. So, and usually when people tell their story in that way about not being an overnight success, usually what I hear is that it has taken at least 10 years. I don't think I've ever heard anyone, and just because I didn't hear doesn't mean it didn't happen, but rarely have I heard someone say that, oh, it only took me 2 years. I was, behind the scenes singing in church for a couple of years. No, it was like I was doing this thing and I was consistent for 10 years before anyone even recognized me. So let us all just remember that it takes time. And it's not to say that it's going to take you 10 years to build a practice. No, it definitely should not take you 10 years, especially if you get the support that you need. However, like Ashley was just saying, that you would give a huge eye rolling to someone who says they went on a 60-day cleanse and healed their gut. You'll be like, yeah, really? And that's the same kind of eye rolling I give people who say that they enrolled in coaching for 60 days and now they're making 6 to 7 figures. Like, no, that's not happening. It's not happening. You may not even get your first client in the first 60 days because you still have so much underneath the surface of your business. Remember, Ashley talked about being Sally, so you have to learn the business stuff and get some of the business things in place before you can even get to the first client. So we have so much that we have to learn, and we have so much to unlearn too.
And
because we're immersed in social media.
And it's hard. Like, this is my point. Like, it is hard work. I am a really hard worker. When people are like, I'm like, and by the way, I've made choices in my life. I make certain choices to focus on, hey, I'm going to be a hard worker, and this is going to be something that I'm going to work on and, decide to do and not do in some other place, right? Like, a lot of people will say like, oh, tell me about that celebrity's dietitian, her diet. And I'll be like, well, one of the things that I'll tell you is she, just with the timing of her show and things like that, it's like she hasn't, gone and done and just been off of her program for 3 months, or something like that. She's made certain choices, right? And it's hard. And I want to be really clear that hard is not better for everyone at every life stage. And so if you are not like, but also if you are crying about how hard your business is, as Christine said before, find help and get somebody who can help you. And this is, oh, you want to start? I'll start finger pointing. Another one of those is that just like we wouldn't believe somebody in a 60 could go on a 60-day program and completely heal their gut. I would also like to point out that you don't put all 50 people on the exact same 60-day program.
Oh,
so my friends, be clear. There is so much one size fits all coaching that is going on, that is out there. And if somebody is selling you like, hey, use these 250 questions and you've got all that you need, or here's the magic of SEO and all this other stuff. One of my special sauces, personalized. I personalize nutrition and I personalize coaching, because I don't want to create a business. You're not going to get my business. Like you're not going to, I'm not creating you're not going to have my business. I want to understand who you are, what are your life goals, and then let's look at your business. Because if you can't work hard right now because you're homeschooling your kids and your husband's job is this, and your parents have come to live with you, or you can't see them because of COVID and you have to send all this other stuff or whatever. If I'm telling you to show up face to face on Instagram for, 12 hours live a week, like, who am I? I don't understand your business at all, right? I don't understand you and your life. Rants from Ashley Koff RD. Make sure if you are investing in coaching, make sure that it is going to be personalized to who you are, not somebody telling you what worked for them, because that is the exact same mistake that people make when they go to nutrition professionals to get help. And it will kill you in your business. Absolutely.
Yes.
On that part.
Oh my God. Yeah. So you just pushed all my buttons. My whole leg is twitching right now because I'm just like, okay. Yeah. So the work that I do with my clients is very personalized. I have 2 clients that I'm thinking of right now that came to me at the beginning of the year. First and foremost, let me tell you this. Initially, I only offered one program. One. At first, it was 6 months. And then I realized after working with several clients that they needed more time, because I focus on mindset a lot. Okay. So you're not going to shift your mindset, y'all, in 6 months. I'm just going to tell you, you're going to hit the 4-month mark. It's going to take 3 to 4 months before you even start realizing some things. So then I said, okay, it's 9 months. So then I had the 9-month. That's it. But then COVID hit and I wanted more people to come and be able to say yes to coaching during this time where, things were shifting. Then we had the telehealth and we had people who were losing their jobs and were almost forced to go into private practice. But holy, where do I start? Right. So I regret that tremendously. So I created 5 months and I regret it. I took it off the website. I will never do it again. But my 9-month is very personalized. I meet people where they are. Now, as I was saying a moment ago, I have 2 women that I'm working with right now that have gotten tremendous results. But you guys, they came to me because both of them were working full time. Okay. And they both still are working. And they were just like, I want to start a private practice. These women are just finishing up with me and have totally shifted their identities as dietitians, as women. Have they gotten out there and started their practice yet? No. But they have a very good foundation as to who they are, how they want to operate, and they have the foundational pieces of their business ready to roll. And one of them actually did so much healing work within herself that she ended up creating a nonprofit with her sister. Blows my freaking mind. When I tell you that you will benefit from getting personalized coaching, because sometimes you will go into a coaching situation thinking you know what you want, and you'll come out on the other end with what you actually needed. Before you can even get to what you want, you got to get what you need first. And as Ashley always references and has referenced here, you can compare that to how you work with your nutrition clients. They come to you and they want to lose weight, or they want something else that's a little almost surface level. But you know, as the practitioner, what they really need is something else first before they can even reach that goal. And so I just want to reiterate the power and the importance of personalized coaching because, you know, I will be honest and very transparent here. Working with people on one-on-one is no freaking joke. It is a lot to hold space for people. And I hold space deeply because I'm a highly intuitive individual and very sensitive person. And I actually genuinely care about every single person. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with a client this morning on the phone in the kind of like state of emergency kind of thing. Just out of the blue, I said, call me. That she didn't think that was going to happen. You know, but that's how invested I am in every single person that I work with. So you guys, do your research and find the coach that is going to work for you. You need to understand how that person works. If you're investing in one-on-one coaching, I'm hesitating to say, but I'm going to say it. Cookie cutter blueprints and worksheets and all those things may or may not be the thing.
And I'm comfortable saying I don't think that they really work. So you're so nice. I'm just going to be like
nice. Look, because I don't want anybody coming at me. Because if you come at me, y'all gonna get it back. Okay,
yes,
I'll do a clap back.
Yeah, and let's be clear, just on the off chance that anybody didn't distinguish between the voices here, that was Ashley just being like, they don't work. And here's the reason they don't work. You can use a worksheet and have it work, but it's not because of the sheet, it's because of the work. So, you know, we use a client journey form. I have never, the fact that so many practitioners do not have a client journey, it's just, I'm like, it is the best tool to build your business with because it always teaches you what phase is somebody in and what content should they be getting and what content shouldn't they be getting, what touch points you need, all of that stuff. It's not the worksheet. It's when they fill it out and I come back and I'm like, so interesting that you told me that you want to work with people who their goals are to be healthy. Could you get a little more specific with me on that part? You know, like, and it's the, hey, we got to get to dive in there. So it isn't the fact. So what you don't want is a program or working with someone who's going to have you do a lot of sheets and things like that. What you do want is to figure out, hey, what are my goals right now? And when I'm talking to someone is, are they going to be there? And like Christine said, also, I love what you did. I understand that it didn't work and you're like, okay, not going to do it. But what I love about you and your business and what you did when COVID hit is your business was structured in a way that you could confidently pivot and help other people. So then you realize, you know what, I'm not a 5-monther. Like I probably could do better having one-off quick calls with people than a 5-month. But you know what, I did it. I honored it. I stepped into that space, not better for me, et cetera, on that part. You got to build a business like Christine's built for herself here, where with your practice, where you can turn around and say, I might try something. I'm going to get good lessons from it. As long as I don't as long as it's not a financial negative or a reputation negative, you want to build in those opportunities for those pivots. And you want someone who's going to be there to help you understand how to pivot or build a business that, you know, that has those pivots within it. So I think it's what you're sharing is super valuable. And I also appreciate that you shared something that didn't end up working for you. Because, you know, I think it's always so important. I mean, the list is very long for me on those pieces, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, I would say that it wasn't that it didn't work for me. What I recognize is that the longer term clients are the ones who really got the greatest outcome.
Yeah.
And though a few, not all, but a few of the 5-month clients ended up quitting. So I feel like those who go in with a toe dip, it's like, oh, let me see if I can try this for 5 months. they come in with the mindset that if it doesn't work, then I'll quit. Mm-hmm. However, those who come in with the 9-month, they're like, oh, I'm getting ready to go on a long journey. I better make sure this is, what I really want. I'm going to, stay committed to this. They also know that, it's a journey. It's not just the destination. Whereas those shorter programs give a certain unrealistic expectation from the start.
And you just hit the nail on the head for another pain point that we probably share in common, which is this whole idea of creating programs and having people purchase the program and spending all this time on booking people into your program or having people work with you on a program. And then it's on to the next. Who am I going to book into my program? And it's the worst business model ever. I just want to be really clear. If your business is built on just attracting new people all the time, it is the worst business model. What Christine is talking about is in her business, the post-purchase experience is so powerful that every month they're understanding and they're continuing to work with her. If you have somebody that you work with as a practitioner 3 or 4 times, and somebody just said this to me, I should send them to you for a money mindset tune-up or just a bunch of work. Cause she was like, I feel really badly if somebody spent a lot of money on me for, we worked together for, let's call it 3 months. I feel badly asking them for money again. And I was like, okay, so here's what I want to lay out on the line for you. Again, trying to be funny, maybe not effective, but I was like, actually it's so bad for you and bad for them if you don't have something to follow that up, because nobody gets healthy and stays healthy in 3 months. You want somebody that is going to be on a journey with you. I think, whether that's, and your business needs to be structured that way. So what I will tell you, one of the reasons I'm critical of a lot of the programs that are out there, whether they're the Instagrams and these other things and stuff for practitioners, is that they presuppose that if you do one thing right now and put this in place, it's going to do something great for your business. And they totally do not focus on after the purchase, what's the experience that somebody's going through and how do you build and optimize that experience, which is where the easier, most consistent money is in building your business. And I think that part of it, is so important. So as I just rip on every aspect of what's out there right now, I got the top ones off my chest. Thank you very much, Christine. Yes.
You're very welcome. I'm here to please. I'm here to be of service. Look, I just think that it's just important to also make note that my clients who have been working with me for an extended amount of time, the 9-monthers, they are the ones who sign up again. They sign another contract for another round because let's take it to the next level. They feel like, okay, so I did the inside, I did the inner work. And of course the inner work is always continuing, but I did this inner work and now I'm really ready for the next level. I'm ready to create a brand. I'm ready to take my practice to the next level by getting clients in the door. I'm ready. It's like, I don't even know how people build businesses without dealing with their mind. I almost said a bad word. I have never cussed on my podcast. Let me help myself right now. They don't they don't do the mindset work. How do they do it? Is it sustainable is the question. It might look all glorious and everything on the Instagram on the other platforms, but you may want to question, my friends, how long is it going to be sustainable for? How long?
And let's be really clear, because I know them intimately. The business model at Facebook and Instagram is to never let you continue to be profitable and do the same thing consistently, because they are trying to profit off of you. Right. So that, you have to understand that what somebody is, if you are paying for I'm picky on Instagram right now, but if you're building a business model around Instagram, there are a lot of really smart and some very strategic business people who are in a room trying to figure out how to change that all up because they're trying to make more money for Instagram. And so what you learned, you're going to just have to relearn or refigure out or, do whatever. It's why I kind of like to stay in the unpopular, or I like to look at each social media and figure out what can it offer to me right
Yeah.
now, and how am I
Yeah.
going to use it in that business, but not build my business off of, social media on that part.
Yeah.
So you have to remember, if you're using any tool, the same thing goes for Healthy, Practice Better, any of these. If you're using them, remember, they are businesses themselves. So
Right.
don't think that they're not worried about your business model. Like, you actually have to have your business model and understand and make it immune to, how they change. Or obviously sometimes we just have to break up with a service or decide not to use something. But I think
Right.
it's so important. So what your mindset does is your mindset trumps all of that. Your mindset at the end of the day says that I'm looking at my profitability, right? Or I'm looking
Right.
at the money that I need to make that helps me feel secure, or I need to have, you and I talked about this at the start of COVID. If your business is not diversified, good luck to you. Like, if you're
Right.
trying to
Right.
just go through one path to revenue generate. So
Yes.
I think there's been an oversimplification in
Mm-hmm.
business, in the business of being a dietitian. I'll talk to our colleagues here. With a lot of people who have some experience, maybe some have more experience, et cetera, as being private practice dietitians, stepping into the space to help their colleagues, I believe, with great intention. But one of the things that you have to understand in that space is when you oversimplify something that works for their business model, it is the exact same thing that has happened in the diet industry, using quotes,
Wow.
of that oversimplification, where working with a practitioner one-on-one, or in a small group, it worked. But when they created the book and you went out there and followed, the South Beach or the Attica or whatever, it didn't work the same for you. And that's because you weren't working with the practitioner and you weren't doing, these kinds of things. There's a lot of similarity to what's going on, I believe, in the space for dietitians and businesses that is really concerning to me, and I see people investing and not getting the benefits for their business on that part.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh my God. All of the things. Like you just said, all of the things. I'm telling you, you guys, this is a pot of gold. This is a pot of gold right now with um what Ashley is sharing here. So much wisdom. And Ashley, I want to know, like, what really keeps you personally inspired and motivated to keep going? Like, and why do you feel you've been successful so far?
I think that I need to help other people. Like, it's like in me. Like, when I help other people, like, I get like, like, I get that, all that good feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that's like a big, like, I want to be successful, and my version of what helps me feel successful is helping other people. That a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times that was helping them be successful themselves, not like a version of me, right?
Right.
And so that used to be my patience, and that kept me going. Sometimes it can be really hard if you feel like somebody's not succeeding, or, you've got this insurance issue or what's going on with this other stuff. But then somebody's like, oh my gosh, Ashley, like, I just want to, I've been pooping regularly for 3 months now. And I'm like, isn't it great? Like, it feels so good, right? And, that kind of thing. So you have that, like, that feeling. And our practitioners now, where when I'm able to work with practitioners, it's always been my experience when I'm able to, I shied away from consulting, because a lot of consulting is often like, either are you going to go in and tell me what's wrong and then expect me to fix it, or other people expect you to do it for them. And,
Right.
but when you can find that way of actually helping empower somebody to do it themselves, and the light bulb goes off, and that, like,
Totally.
what you're saying about, like, when somebody shifts their mindset, and you just know you've just changed their lives, but they've changed their lives. Like, you've given them the tools, and you've been a vessel, to help them on that part. So I think that's helped me be really successful. And another part for me was actually learning to define success, because I used to define success just far enough away from where I was today that I never actually allowed myself to describe myself as successful. Because I'd be like, oh, when I do that, oh my gosh, that's going to be amazing. And then it just kind of always felt a little further away. Well, by
Yeah.
definition, a successful person is someone who has successes, right? Who sees themselves in
Right.
that part. So I had to actually sit down And I do this consistently now, every month, and sometimes even more often than that. And I highlight and say out loud to myself, I not only write it down, but I read it out loud. These are the reasons you're successful. And I look at them in my personal life, in my business, and these pieces, so that I remind. And so when people will ask me, or like I'll go out there and somebody's reading my bio and I'm like, I am one of the most successful dietitians in the country, maybe in the world. There are people who could be like, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you make? No, I'm just very clear. Like, I'm telling you, I am one of the most successful, like on my terms. It's the money I've made. It's the jobs. It's what I'm doing from a contribution. So that part of it, again, I think a lot of, oh gosh, I wish I would have, like when I was starting, if I could have found you so many years earlier, like from a mindset, woo, but that was all stuff I had to learn. And I think that's the stuff that, that when you say what helps me keep going at it. And the other part of what helps me keep going at it is our country. Now I'm going to talk very specifically about our country, and I'm not going to get political. So I see Christine's like, oh, where's she going to go? I'm like, no,
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
you do you.
Yeah, but it's not fair. Like, so, and there are a couple of things that are not fair. One, people are not taking enough responsibility for their own health outcomes. There is, I fundamentally believe that. Number two, the way that our, insurance companies and these other pieces, those are not set up, for anyone to win other than those insurance companies financially. And so things just aren't fair right now. But because I worked in Hollywood and with like really, superstar and people that, and they did less well and stepped up less to the plate than somebody who took a bus from downtown. He was a postman and ate out of vending machines, and he got rid of all diabetes medications by working with me. Like, I was like, hold on a second. Everybody needs to have something better, but it has to start with access to the better information and these pieces. So what drives me now is if I can help enough practitioners be successful and have these successful businesses, then we can turn around at the national level and be like, you know what, we actually do know what works. We know what policies need to be in place. It is ridiculous that dietitians have to worry about, is somebody in my state or not in my state, but yet a health coach can coach anyone in the country, or like, and I might be stating these things wrong, so just go with me for a second. And a doctor can help this person, but we can't do these pieces. We need to make it easier for people who are investing in being healthcare practitioners to actually meet people and be able to work with them and, and have successful businesses and help people be successful. So what keeps me going is that the more I can do of this, I really then want to knock on, not that I want to be back in Washington, but I want to knock on the door and be like, you know what, last time I was here, it was all about, well, this industry wants this and this one. Done. Like, here's what the healthcare industry is actually showing you how we can be successful, and we need to, be able to do that. So I still have those things coming in front of me. Yeah,
I love that. I love all of this, because it's so needed, Ashley. And you are like the perfect person to do it with all of the things that you've done, your background, working in different areas of being of service to people, the higher ups and the middles, and I'm sure some of the lows as well. And I really love that you come from a family that has a medical background, so that really even more solidifies your expertise in being able to help healthcare practitioners, not just dietitians, but the resources that you provide are but they are tremendously helpful. And I'm going to make sure that, in the show notes, we add all of the things so that the dietitians out there who really need this help get the help that they need. You guys, look, we're going into 2021. And I'm just going to be blunt because I've been nice, right? I'm just going to say, I don't care what you went through this year, because we all went through all the things, okay? We've all known people who have been tremendously ill. We probably all have known someone who has passed away, whether it be from COVID or something else. This year has been the year where it has magnified so many things. But we're going into 2021, whether you like it or not. And you get to choose, my friend, how you're going to step into 2021. Are you going to step into 2021 feeling all defeated and beat up and all the things? Or are you going to step into 2021 like a warrior, like a soldier, like a woman or a man who is here to do the work? Because look, we've all been beat up this year. This year has been a trip. It has been a trip. However, we're still here. We're still here. We're all still here. Amen. Like we get to say, but I am still here. So the fact that you're still here, the fact that you're listening right now means that you have work to do. Are you ready to do the work? Because Ashley and I are here to help. So whether you need mindset help, hello, Christine Diane Thompson is here for you, or you need some resources to build a better nutrition practice, we got you covered. So decide that you're going to step into not even 2021. Hello, we got the next quarter coming up. We're in the next quarter, probably by the time you listen to this podcast. So this next 90 days, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to make excuses about, oh, well, no one wants to buy nutrition services during the holiday season? Are you freaking kidding me?
It's my
Honey,
biggest money maker. I make so much money every year during the holidays. Like,
I
come
know,
on,
y'all,
people. Yeah.
stop making excuses and get to work. Oh my God, Ashley, you're amazing.
Ditto.
Okay.
Right back at you. I love it.
Girl,
I mean,
you are doing it. You are doing it. I love what you do. And I love your mindset, of course. I'm such a human behavior junkie. And you
better not perfect. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're still working on a lot over here, but it's so fun to be in the work. What I am so grateful for is I think I was telling you this before we even got on, is that for a large part of my career, I had some dietitian friends, but I didn't really engage in the dietitian community. And maybe some of it was confusing or self-protected. I don't know what it was, but I think what is incredible now is there is just such a rock star community where we can have these conversations, where we are clearly we're ballers, like it's happening, like we're growing and, all of that stuff. And my dog Rerun is trying to drink my water that has something in it he shouldn't drink. So there you go. Casey, you saw
Rerun is like, look, I smell this.
He's like, I got an idea. I should have this and we should go outside. And which is a great thing. So the two things I'll close with is get out into nature. And depending on when this airs, please just vote. Like, please take a moment out of your schedule. Ideally have a plan for voting, try to help other people vote.
Yes.
Because 2021, we want to hope that 2021 is a better year than 2020, but I'm not really sure that it will be. And so I think voting is just so essential right now to at least know whatever you vote for, whoever you vote for, you're being active.
Just do something.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just do something. I'm not here to judge, whatever you do, but just do something. I actually had to employ my husband to make sure I do something, because that's an area where I've just been like, look, if they don't have the mail-in ballots, your girl might miss it.
You can't. No, you got to go.
But I'm not. He's like, no, babe, you ain't missing nothing. So let's get you on the ball.
And
so
you guys, early voting is actually really fun. Like I've met like some awesome people waiting in lines. I never recommend trying to vote in person the day of, but to each his own on that part. But early voting, get it done.
Horrible.
Christine, I'm just so grateful for you and what you do.
Yay,
thank you so much.
Yeah. Same, babe. We're going to keep this train going. And that is it for this episode. But you guys, get on the ball. Check Ashley out. If you're not a part of her community yet, get on it. And of course, if you want to make more money as a dietitian, you know where to find me as well. Okay. I'm on the Instagram. I'm on the Facebook, and you'll find me everywhere. Look, sign up for a mini session. Let's talk. There's no obligation. As a matter of fact, I have really gotten very, very picky about who I work with, because I want to make sure that it's a good fit for you. Honestly, to be honest, I want to make sure it's a good fit for you. So, all right, that's it for this episode. You guys keep on keeping on, and let's all just lift one another up, okay? I'll see you on the next episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. Bye. Hey, if you want to learn more about how you can make more money as a dietitian, I want to invite you to check out my program, Charge What You're Worth. Now, to learn more about this program and how it can help you to become a top earner as a dietitian in business, just head on over to moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me. Again, that's moneymindsetdietitian.com/work with me, where you can learn more about the Charge What You're Worth program and how it can help you.